So you and I often meet politicians together, and we try and uh, participate in policy making, or we don't really participate in policy making, but
At
we
least discuss
yeah,
policies.
yeah, things that we believe can help. What do you think about the broader political climate of India today, and what do you think needs to change tomorrow to expedite the rate of change which is happening in India, all towards the positive, in my opinion?
I think India is in a very unique position today because, all the stars have lined up in our favor. And I think you couldn't have a better time than today, when, the geopolitics of our time are alienating China, where India is suddenly becoming the most favored nation, I would say, or the most favored destination for many things, including manufacturing. A lot of geopolitical shifts are happening and it's favoring India. So we have a lot going for us. I think the government has certainly seized on this opportunity and is coming up with very, very good policies. One great advantage India has, and that's thanks to a lot of government policies, is the digital revolution that's happening in India. I think India's, digital payment gateways, India's digital transformation pathways in every aspect, whether it's healthcare, whether it's ed tech, whether it's anything, e-tailing. I think we are really poised for great growth, and this is something that the world is taking notice of because we've done things extremely well. We've leapfrogged in many ways, and the world is suddenly watching us and saying, hey, India is in a different league. And I think many parts of the world are now trying to emulate us. I think starting with the way we went about Aadhaar and the way we've sort of leveraged Aadhaar in many aspects of our digital world is really commendable. So I think the world is suddenly saying, hey, what is it that India did that we missed out on? So that's great. And I think India, and I think the government has done very well in terms of coming up with policies that augment and accelerate the process even further. In our own field of biotech and life sciences, I think India is suddenly now focusing on the pharmaceutical industry as the pharmacy of the world. And of course, they come up with production linked incentives. I've also been trying to advocate for research linked incentives because without research, the pharmaceutical industry will be stunted and stifled. So I think that's where the government really needs to act fast.
Do you think India's share of research in GDP spend is,
Very low, very, very low. We spend less than 1% on research
and the
as a
US is
country. Um,
closer to 3-4%?
it's about 6%. And it's about 4%. Korea spends the most as 6%, and of course smaller countries like Israel also spend about 8%. So many parts of the world, the average spend is between 4 to 5%. India needs to at least double its spend given the size of our country. So even if we spend 2% of our GDP on R&D, I think it will catapult us into a very different league. Today we are followers, we are not innovators. And I think that's where we ought to be. And we have that potential, but we are not leveraging it.
I think India today has that unique position in the world where I meet investors from different countries. Most of them are very critical about Europe, about the US, about their own geographies right now, but they're very optimistic on India. I think you see that also in the fund flow and the
Yeah.
interest of money coming into India. Do you think the stability on the top, which India did not have for a long time, but we've had it under the incumbent government, uh, that has created this narrative for India?
So I think stable governments make a big difference to the way the world views any country. Stable governments with stable economic policies is what investors look at, right? Now, obviously, the Modi government has done extremely well. It's been around for a long time. And they've basically made sure that economic policies are very stable. And that really appeals to the outside world, whether it's investors, whether it's other governments trying to work free trade agreements. I think all that is augurs very well for us. And I think what we now need to do is to focus on our own internal needs or what we need as a country to grow even faster. And so there, I think we need, I mean, I think we are doing a terrific job on infrastructure. I think that needs to be scaled up at a very rapid pace. And again, I go back to even our own city. We have infrastructure that doesn't match the intellectual potential of this city. So it has to match. So infrastructure, yes, a good tick mark there in terms of the country. I think in terms of economic policies, I would still like to see a convertible rupee sooner than later.
Fully capital account
Yes,
convertible.
yes. I think that would make it a very, very strong.
I also think when it becomes capital account convertible, in my opinion, more money will come in than go out.
Exactly. So I think that's a really big need for this country. And that's where I think the government ought to be focused on. Okay. Everything else is going well, but this is a crying need. The third thing I think we need is uh, very strong, reliable tax policies for the future. How do we see tax, for industry, for investors?
Hi, I'm Nikhil Kamath. I'd love to know what you thought of the episode. Comment, like, and subscribe. And thank you for watching.